Heartwarming moment, little boy discovers incredible power to save dying mother with Billionaire. Max was only 8, but he wore a heart as big as maple trees during fall in Maplewood. He was the kind of kid who believed in superheroes, in magic, and in the power of love. But lately, things had turned darker. His mom, Sarah, a nurse who poured her soul into caring for others, had become a shadow of herself. A rare illness had crept into their lives, feeling like thick fog that refused to lift, leaving behind endless bills and a heart aching with worry. In their cozy home, love was the main ingredient, even as fear simmered just beneath the surface. Max spent evenings building fortresses out of couch cushions, daydreaming that he could save her with a wave of his tiny hand. His world was a blend of cheerful laughter from kids playing outside and the scent of grilled burgers from neighbors' backyards. Yet every friendly "How's Sarah?" made his insides twist. It felt like a reminder of something he couldn't fix. One sun-drenched evening, with the sky painting itself a warm orange, Max spotted Mr. Thompson. This was the man everyone whispered about: wealthy, successful, and always driving that flashy car. Max's heart raced. If anyone could help, it was him. Mustering every ounce of courage, he took a step forward, tiny fists clenched with hope. "Mr. Thompson," he called, his voice trembling. "My mom, she's sick, and we need." But the moment shattered when Mr. Thompson merely waved him off, mistaking Max's passion for childish innocence. "Not everyone can be saved, kid," he said, and the words sliced through Max like a gust of icy wind. Max felt the weight of rejection press on his chest, but instead of crumbling, something ignited within him. He couldn't give up. Fueled by a fierce determination, he gathered his friends, their innocence a balm to his heavy heart. Each child brought ideas, excitement, and laughter, wrapping around him like a cozy blanket on a cold winter night. They created banners, baked goods, and organized a fundraiser right in the heart of Maplewood. Laughter filled the air, a striking contrast to the tension that lingered at home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The event sparked a fire in the community, turning into a powerful reminder of what neighbors could accomplish together. Max glanced around at smiling faces and filled donation boxes, hope shining brighter than the dips of sunlight through the trees. As Mr. Thompson watched from a distance, something stirred inside him. This boy, standing strong in the face of despair, was drawing everyone in, even his hardened heart, but the dilemma weighed heavily on Mr. Thompson. Would he take the step from privilege to purpose, or linger in the safety of indifference? Max was right there at the edge of his own fight, ready to push through darkness toward light. The heartbeat of Maplewood thumped strong, and with every moment, answers loomed just beyond reach, glistening like stars on the horizon. Would Mr. Thompson unlock the potential for change, or would he let it slip away? Max's battle wasn't over yet, but he was more determined than ever to make things right. The next day dawned, bright and full of promise. Max woke up with a spark of energy, the kind that buzzed like electricity in his small frame. He bounced out of bed, the weight on his heart lightened slightly by the momentum of the fundraiser. Every colorful flyer and hand-painted banner flickered in his mind like colorful lights. Hope. They were building hope. Downstairs, the familiar sounds of breakfast wafted rich in the air. His mother was seated at the kitchen table, the sunlight catching in her hair, illuminating the tired lines on her face. She smiled weakly, but it struck Max like a ray cutting through the clouds. It was a reminder of everything he was fighting for. "Good morning, Mom," he chirped, pouring her a cup of steaming tea. "Guess what? We're having a fundraiser today." Her gaze softened as she looked at him, the weariness of her illness mingling with a flicker of pride. "Oh, Max. That sounds wonderful. What can I do to help? He beamed up at her. Just being you is enough. But maybe, if you have time, you could bake some cookies? Her laugh was like music to his ears, and even though her health was deteriorating, the resilience in her spirit always cushioned his fears. I can manage that, she promised with a nod. As they prepared, the kitchen turned into a flurry of activity. Flour dust danced in the air like tiny fairies, and the sweet scent of chocolate chips tantalized both their senses. Each sprinkle of sugar felt like a part of Max's heart just waiting for someone to taste the love behind it. Outside, the park was filling with people, laughter spilling like sunlight over the grass. Max's friends showed up one by one, carrying tables and coolers, their energy infectious. The banners they had made snapped happily in the breeze, each colorful letter brightened with the message, "Help save Sarah." As Max assembled the tables, he spotted a familiar face approaching. It was Mr. Thompson. He stood there, hands stuffed in his pockets, looking both apprehensive and drawn to the gathering like a moth to a flame. Max's heart fluttered with a mixture of hope and fear. Could this be the moment he had been waiting for? "Hi, Mr. Thompson." Max called, trying to summon every ounce of courage he had. The response was a mere nod, yet there was something flickering in his eyes, a glimmer of something deeper than indifference. The event kicked off with laughter, music, and the clattering of utensils. Everyone came together for games, raffles, and the promise of delicious treats. Max's heart soared each time a person approached. It felt like waves of warmth washing over him, compassion, community, and connection intertwining in an extraordinary dance. He watched as people opened their wallets, their hearts widening for something they believed in. Yet, through the bustle, he couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Thompson was still standing on the sidelines, hesitant. What would it take for him to step forward? As the sun began its descent, casting golden rays across the park, Max found himself weaving through the crowd, glancing back at Mr. Thompson. He experienced a sudden rush of inspiration. Maybe this was his chance to show the billionaire what community truly meant. Gathering his courage, he approached him, his feet barely making a sound against the grass. "Mr. Thompson," he started, words tumbling out, "do you want to help me?" The billionaire looked down, surprise painted across his face, caught off guard by the forthrightness of the little boy. There was a moment, a heartbeat between them. Max held his breath. Would he take a step forward, or would he drift away into the safety of indifference once more? The air was thick with anticipation as the sun dipped lower, waiting for Mr. Thompson's answer. Max watched Mr. Thompson's face shift through an array of emotions: surprise, confusion, and deep contemplation. It felt as if the world around them had slowed, the sounds of laughter and cheerful shouts from the park fading into the background. This was a moment of raw potential, and for Max, every heartbeat felt like both a plea and a prayer. "Help you?" Mr. Thompson finally replied, his voice uncertain, barely rising above the cheerful chaos surrounding them. "Yes." Max nodded vigorously. "We're raising money for my mom, Sarah. She's really sick, and we need to pay for her treatment. It's important, really important. I just want to do something big that can help her get better." His fervor bubbled over, injecting earnest energy into his words. The billionaire's brows furrowed, and Max could see his internal struggle clear as day. Was he about to turn away once more? To close himself off from something real? Maybe all it would take was to peel back the layers of skepticism cloaked around Mr. Thompson's heart. "I've got friends and neighbors, and they all care so much," Max pressed on quickly, feeling the urgency spill from his chest. "Look around. Everyone is here for something good. Together, we can make a difference. Every dollar matters." Mr. Thompson's gaze flickered toward the crowd. He saw the vibrant faces of children darting in and out of games, the laughter mingling with the sweet scent of cookies wafting through the air. Something shifted in his demeanor as he observed the unity present. I've given money before," Mr. Thompson finally said, his voice heavy with doubt. "But it never felt like this, like a real connection. But you can change that. Max exclaimed, his voice buoying with hope. You can show everyone that even if you have a lot, your heart can make the biggest difference. My mom is counting on us. Pulling his gaze back, Mr. Thompson stared down at Max. It was as if he was seeing the boy for the first time, realizing that the little warrior in front of him wasn't just fighting for himself, but for love, hope, and the unbreakable bond between mother and son. Okay, he sighed, a reluctant smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Tell me what you need. Max's heart broke free, soaring higher than it ever had. We need donations, food stands, more games, anything. But I know you could help us in other ways too, like bringing more people here. You have ways to reach more hearts, Mr. Thompson. And if you donated just a bit yourself, it would be such a boost. As Max spoke, he sensed the tension within the billionaire easing, breaking like a fragile shell. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, his shoulders relaxing just a little. I suppose I can help with that, he said, the warmth of a real smile spreading across his face, lighting up the deep-set shadows that lingered around his eyes. Their moment felt electric, the air crackling with potential. But as excitement unfolded, Max glanced over Mr. Thompson's shoulder to the park's edge, where scattered raindrops began to fall, brushing against the ground, mingling threat with the joyous energy flooding through the event. Oh, Max said, frowning. What's wrong? Mr. Thompson asked, noticing the shift in Max's expression. It's raining. What will happen to the fundraiser? Concern rippled through the gathering, causing the children to pause and the laughter to dwindle. Would the excitement fade with the raindrops? Would people start to leave? Let us figure this out together. Max said, steeling himself. We can move to the pavilion. We won't stop. We'll keep it going. The determination in his voice sparked a fire in everyone around, and they began to rally together. Max led the charge, directing his friends and neighbors. And as he moved, he felt a reassuring presence beside him. Mr. Thompson began relaying instructions as well, phoning contacts and encouraging others, tapping into a network of support unexpected yet vital. Come on, let us go. Max urged with a smile, his voice fracturing the melancholy looming over them, but deeper rain clouds gathered above, and the loud patter of rain began to drum faster, a challenge emerging that could either wash away their hopes or wash them clean with newfound strength. Would the rain wash away a moment that had finally begun to bloom like a flower? Would it scatter his dreams, or would it unite everyone even more powerfully in the shared struggle to make a difference? Max couldn't help but wonder as they packed, would they find not only the strength to adapt, but the heart to rise above every challenge that lay ahead? Max hustled through the crowd, urgency propelling him as the rain poured heavier, turning the light-hearted atmosphere into a frantic scramble. The laughter that had filled the park was quickly replaced by shouts of concern and surprise. But Max held on to the hope that threaded through him, knowing he had a purpose. Everyone. To the pavilion. He shouted, his voice cutting through the chatter. We can keep going. We can have fun. Just because it's raining doesn't mean we stop. His words ignited a spark among the crowd. Families formed small lines, hurriedly gathering picnic blankets and half-finished games, moving together under a common goal. Come on. We can set everything up there. Max continued, wiping the rain from his eyes. He noticed Mr. Thompson by his side, a surprising ally, working to motivate the crowd as well. Max is right. He boomed, voice dynamically commanding the group. Rain won't drown our spirit. Let us make this a day to remember. Max felt a surge of gratitude as he watched the billionaire rally people with enthusiasm. It wasn't just about money anymore, the atmosphere radiated resilience and collaboration, transforming panic into teamwork. They made it to the pavilion, drenched but alive in spirit. The shelter transformed into a vibrant hub of activity, where laughter began to replace fear. Children set up games and baked treats, free from the rain, all while smiles replaced anxious frowns. Let us set up a bake sale over there. Max called, pointing at a long table covered in rain-soaked cloths. And the games can start on this side. We'll keep the energy high. As they settled in, Mr. Thompson stepped up to Max. He had soaked his crisp white shirt, but the enthusiasm in his eyes outshone anything else. "What else can I do?" he asked, clearly invested in this unexpected community event. "Maybe you could help spread the word? Call your contacts and let them know we've moved." Max's enthusiasm was contagious. The air thrummed with possibility. Mr. Thompson nodded, pulling out his phone as he stepped back. As he made calls, Max turned to his friends, organizing them into teams. Each moment felt important, every second counted. They were fighting for his mom but also building something bigger, a community connection. The raindrops began to lighten, only subtly now, as kids giggled and gathered for games. Hope surged within him. This was about more than a fundraiser, it was about building bonds and creating happiness amidst turmoil. He glanced back at Mr. Thompson, who had just finished a call with a local cafe. The billionaire hung up, a smile spread across his damp face, signaling that they were about to receive a delivery of fresh pastries. "They're coming," Mr. Thompson said with a hint of joy in his tone. "We'll have cookies, muffins, and any donations they can spare. It's going to be a feast." Max could hardly believe it. The energy in the pavilion popped, bubbling like a soda can ready to spill. But then, just as excitement peaked, a deep rumble of thunder rolled in the distance. For a moment, their jubilance stumbled, faces glancing outward, questioning what the skies might do next. "Is it bad?" one of his friends whispered, glancing uneasily at the darkening clouds above. Max paused, staring up at the menacing sky. Then he thought back to the laughter, the unity, all that they had built just moments ago. "No matter what, we're in this together," he shouted, voice steady. "Let us keep going. Bring in all those treats and start those games. We can make this work." But could one boy's determination really override the storm? Would their unity withstand the challenges ahead? Max wondered, gazing at the swirling sky, as a part of him recognized the snapping tension between hope and fear. They shivered together in the rain, pressing forward in a moment that could either unite or divide them, all teetering on the edge of a storm. What would happen if the thunder broke loose? Would their dreams come crashing down, or would they rise above the storm together? Max's heart raced as he faced the dark clouds, sweat mingling with rain on his brow. He couldn't let fear creep in. In that moment, he felt the weight of not just his dreams, but everyone's hopes. It was a shared heartbeat pulsing beneath the pavilion. "All right, everyone. Let us declare war on this storm," he shouted, pumping his fist. Laughter erupted around him. The tension dimmed slightly, smiles returned as kids started dragging out supplies. "Who's ready for some games?" a small girl shouted, her voice cutting through the rising wind. The response was a wave of cheers, an affirmation of unity that Max soaked in. As tables were set up and pastries arrived, the scent of fresh muffins filled the air, creating a delicious distraction. People formed a line, and excitement buzzed as cookies were passed out. Max relished the scene around him. The pavilion transformed into a haven of sweets, laughter, and vibrant energy. "Hey, Max!" called out Lisa, one of his friends. "We should start the bake sale now before the storm really hits. We can use the tables for shelter if we need to." "Great idea," he replied, his mind racing with possibilities. They gathered together, moving as a cohesive unit, stacking treat boxes while keeping an eye on the sky. Mr. Thompson stepped up beside him, his face now serious. "We might need to move quickly," he said, glancing at the flashes of lightning in the distance. "If we can get everyone focused on the fun, the storm won't stand a chance." Max nodded, the determination surging through him again. "Let us turn this into a game. Whoever raises the most money will get a special prize. How about that?" Cheers erupted around him, igniting their competitive spirit. Kids scrambled to plan out how they could boost their sales, igniting ideas and laughter. The sound of their enthusiasm renewed Max's sense of purpose. But then the first heavy drops of rain hit, splattering loudly against the pavilion roof, each one echoing his heartbeats of worry. Would this be the moment that shattered their optimism? Would the thunder drown them out? Suddenly, he looked over at a mother cradling her baby, the little one cooing innocently, and something in Max shifted. He realized he was no longer just fighting for his mom, he was fighting for every single child, every family sharing this moment. He wasn't alone in this, they were all interconnected, each drawing strength from the others. Listen up! He shouted, raising his arms to gain attention. No storm can stop us. Let us show it what we're made of. Cheers erupted again, enthusiasm overriding the booming thunder outside. As kids grabbed their soggy cookies to sell, the wind howled, stronger now, rattling the pavilion. Max felt a tremor beneath their feet, tiny droplets leaking through cracks in the roof, a reminder that nature was an unpredictable force. Hold tight! He yelled, bracing himself as the wind pushed against the walls. Stay together. In that moment, the community felt like one giant family, huddled together, laughter cutting through the chaos. Their resolve shined brighter than ever, and Max realized they were uniting in the face of fear, a powerful, infectious energy coursing through. Just as Max caught Mr. Thompson's approving nod, the sky opened up, pouring down a torrential downpour. The pavilion shook as the storm intensified, rattling the structure. The laughter started to fade, replaced by uncertain glances as the wind screamed past. Max's heart sank, the reality of the storm crashing in. He wanted to believe they were strong enough, that they could face this tempest together. But doubt began to creep in like the rain pooling on the ground. Are we really going to be okay? One of his friends murmured, anxiety creeping into her voice. Max took a deep breath. We will. If we stick together, we can outlast anything. He yelled, trying to mask his own fear. But in truth, he wondered, what happened when the storm got too fierce? Would their faith hold strong, or would they scatter like leaves in the wind? Max fought against the tightening knot in his stomach, determined to protect the hope that lingered just out of reach. And then, from the very depths of the rain, a bolt of lightning struck, illuminating the pavilion for a split second. Did it signal their defeat, or was it a flash of possibility? The crowd gasped, hearts pounding, as they braced against the expected and the unknown. As more thunder rolled ominously overhead, Max faced his friends, wishing more than ever that he could believe their unity could withstand the storm. Would it be enough to stand where they wanted to be, or would they falter when it mattered most? The wind howled like a wild animal, rattling the pavilion and sending a chill through everyone inside. Max's heart hammered in his chest. He locked eyes with Lisa, who gripped the edges of their makeshift table as it shuddered in the gusts. Max, this isn't looking good, she shouted over the roar of the storm, her voice laced with both fear and determination. Just then, the lights flickered, casting a flickering glow against the gathering darkness outside. People exchanged worried glances, but Max, a mix of adrenaline and hope coursing through him, refused to let despair set in. All right, everyone. He called, his voice steady and filled with a vigor he didn't entirely feel. Let us get those cookies out. Time to show this storm what we're made of. With that, a spark of energy ignited among his friends. The sounds of rustling boxes and laughter surged back, drowning out the wind for a moment. The kids dove back into action, darting between tables with trays piled high with cookies and pastries, but just as Max caught a glimpse of the excitement brewing, the wind howled louder, driving sheets of rain sideways into the pavilion. Water dripped more insistently now, pooling on the floorboards. Max's breath hitched. This was no ordinary storm. In the middle of the chaos, he spotted the kid with the baby, his innocent eyes wide, making it harder for Max to shake the doubt creeping in. Was their joy worth risking heartache? Max clenched his fists, held his ground, and took a step closer to the crowd. Let us play a game. He shouted yet again, desperation twisting the corners of his enthusiasm. How about a competition? Whoever sells the most cookies in 10 minutes wins a prize. Winner gets to pick a song for our dance party. The buzz of excitement returned. Kids jumped up and down, rallying together, their fear momentarily forgotten in a whirlwind of sugar and laughter. Laughter mingled with rain as they formed teams, racing against the storm. The air turned electric, filled with a sense of urgency and determination. Max could barely focus on the chaos. It was exhilarating watching everyone fight back, fear replaced with joy, and the thought flickered through his mind this could be their moment, an unforgettable memory, no matter the storm. But then another bolt of lightning split the sky, and the whole pavilion lit up once more. The vibrant giggles fell to stunned silence for an instant, as everyone braced against the power of nature. That crack and blast echoed through them, a reminder of what they were up against. "Stay strong," Max shouted, making his way to the front. He needed to be the rock, even with the storm shaking his belief. "We're in this together. We're not going to let a little rain spoil our fun." His voice rang loudly, cutting through the fear like a beacon. Slowly, the giggles returned, fueled by the spirit Max ignited. Communities were built on shared fears and joys, and right then, they were billing themselves as united against the wild. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Max noticed someone slipping away from the group, slipping on wet boards, her face pale and panicked. His heart dropped immediately, fueled by a sudden instinct. It was one of the younger kids, struggling alone near the entrance as an ominous gust struck again. "Hey! Be careful!" he yelled, but the voice barely reached her. Time froze. Before he knew it, he was sprinting across the drenched floor, navigating moments that felt heavy with anticipation. As he got closer, the storm intensified, howling furiously, drowning out their laughter. Just a few more steps would he reach her in time, or would the storm claim another spirit that day? The uncertainty pressed against him like a thick blanket. Max's breath quickened as he pushed through, knowing he had to act. And as he reached her, he gripped her arm and turned to face the tempest together. "Let us eat those cookies," he yelled, and in that moment, they became a united front against the storm. But would their strength be enough to overcome the chaos now raging outside? The storm raged on, its deep growls growing ever more menacing as the rain slammed against the pavilion, creating a chaotic rhythm that almost drowned out the laughter. Max stood firm, clutching the child's small arm as his heart pounded like a drum. "Come on. Back to the others," he encouraged, pulling her toward the crowd that was now fully immersed in cookie sales and laughter. But as they moved, he felt an unsettling wave of tension in the air. The wind screamed like a banshee, rattling the very bones of the pavilion. For a heartbeat, he imagined the structure could give way, exposing them to the fury of the storm. Max glanced sideways at the girl beside him, her wide eyes mirrored his own fear. The thrill of the cookie competition seemed distant now, but he had to muster hope. "It's okay," he said, more to himself than to her. "We can still have fun." As they returned to the safety of the group, Lisa caught sight of them. Relief washed over her face, etched with a raw earnestness. "Thank you, Max," she breathed, her voice barely strong enough to carry over the cacophony. "I didn't see her slip away." Max shrugged, trying to play it cool, but an electric pang of awareness filled him. It wasn't just courage he felt. It was a surge of adrenaline and purpose radiating from being part of this frantic assembly of friends and strangers. Together, they embodied resilience. But just then, as if the storm understood their unity, the lights flickered again, plunging them into a darkness charged with uncertainty. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and the sound of panic began to creep in. "Everybody, keep calm," Max urged, stepping back to his role at the center. "Remember, we're in this together. The more cookies we sell, the more fun we'll have. Let us keep moving." A mix of anxiety and determination ignited something deeper within him. He grabbed a tray of cookies and began to weave through the crowd, his feet carrying him instinctively toward people who looked the most uncertain. "Cookies! Get your cookies!" he shouted, his enthusiasm blooming as he listed flavors and team achievements. Laughter returned, filling the damp air like warmth. Children joined him, arms swinging as they raced around the pavilion, some clutching cookies in one hand and team flags in the other. Suddenly, he spotted the boy with the baby again, his expression perplexed. Max slowed down, kneeling to catch his eye. "Hey! Do you want to help sell cookies too?" The boy nodded, uncertainty melting away. "We could give cookies to the workers outside. They need some cheer." Max beamed. "That's brilliant. Let us do it." With newfound motivation, they launched into action. Every cookie sold became a small victory, and amidst the roaring storm, an undeniable sense of community formed like a protective bubble around them. But then, out of nowhere, a loud crash echoed from somewhere outside. The impact rattled the pavilion, sending a surge of frantic whispers through the crowd. Max's heart lurched in his chest. "Stay together!" he called out, but uncertainty was creeping in again. The energy shifted, fear rippled through the group like a cold breeze. "What was that?" someone asked, their voice trembling. Max turned, urgency replacing all hesitance. "We need to check it out. Stay close." As they moved as one toward the sound, Max's pulse quickened with both curiosity and dread. What waited for them outside? Would they find chaos, or maybe something incredible? In the eye of the storm, they stepped forward, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. The wind howled, a fierce warning as Max led the small group toward the exit. The heavy downpour blurred the world beyond the pavilion, a cascade of silver droplets wailing against the metal roofs. Shadows danced in the corners of the structure, and every flicker of light seemed to dance with uncertainty. "Stay close," he urged again, gripping the child's wrist lightly, feeling the tiny pulse of her excitement through the unease. Her face, streaked with raindrops, still radiated the joy they had barely fostered amidst the chaos. As they reached the doorway, another thunderclap roared above them, shaking Max to his core. The world outside was a whirlwind of movement, debris twisting in the wind, tree branches thrashing like the arms of a desperate dancer. The trembling crowd paused, hesitating on the threshold between safety and the unknown. "What do we do?" someone whispered from the back. There was genuine fear in their voice, and it echoed loudly in the tight space. Max took a breath, wet air filling his lungs. "We find out what that crash was, together. We can't let fear hold us back." With hesitant nods, the group shuffled closer to him. He turned to face the wild storm, heart racing. "Let us go." Stepping into the elements felt like diving into icy water. Each gust of wind knocked against him, a reminder of the chaos surrounding them. The rain blurred his vision, but he steeled himself, pushing forward with the child beside him and the boy who had wanted to help. They made their way past fleeing puddles and flying pieces of the world, where emergency lights glowed brighter than the stars now lost in the darkness. A dark figure loomed ahead, partially obscured by a fallen tree limb. Instinct pulled him closer, even as dread coiled tighter in his gut. "Is that a car?" whispered the boy, eyes wide as they approached. Max squinted into the murky chaos. There, partially veiled by debris, was the crumpled form of a vehicle. It looked battered, steam rising like ghostly smoke from the engine. It was impossible to ignore the twist of anxiety that spiraled inside him. What had happened? Had someone been hurt? As they drew nearer, he could see movement within. A figure was trying to escape, struggling against the confined space. His heart rate soared. He had to help. "We need to clear the way," Max shouted, rallying the others. Together, they began lifting the broken branches and debris. The shadows of fear began to melt away, replaced by a newfound warmth. A collective resolve formed in the face of danger. They pushed and tugged, with Max guiding the children's efforts, encouraging them with every small progress. With a final heave, the last of the branches fell away, revealing a woman trapped inside the shattered vehicle. Her face was a mask of pain, but when she saw the children, her expression flickered with fading hope. "Help, please," she gasped, voice choked and weak. Just then, the wind howled again, as if warning them against the dangers lurking in the storm. But with her desperate plea ringing in his ears, Max felt that same surge of bravery coursing through them all. There was no turning back now. "Yes, we're here," he called, determination rising in his tone. "We'll get you out." As they worked to free her, a sudden burst of energy burst forth from the child at Max's side. She crouched low, looking into the vehicle, her small fingers reaching out. "Don't worry. We're going to get you back to where it's safe." In that moment, the echoing rumble of the storm faded into insignificance. They had created something powerful together. Hope mixed with action had transformed fear into a focus stronger than the gale winds outside, but the storm was still relentless, and with each passing second, the reality of their situation pressed closer around them. As the last piece of debris fell, and Max cautiously reached for the woman's hand, he heard shouting from behind. "Max! Get back! There's more coming." His heart raced once more, the thrill of hope mingling with the chilly dread that gripped his chest. They couldn't stop now, not when they were so close. What awaited them next? Would they succeed, or was this only the beginning of their fight against the storm? Max's heart sank at the warning shout. The urgency burned in his chest as he grasped the woman's trembling hand. "Hold on, we're almost there," he urged, trying to keep her spirits alive while fear gripped him. Behind them, the storm raged like a wild beast, and the faint sounds of screams mixed with howling wind sent shivers down his spine. The shadows behind him flickered with urgency. "Max, hurry!" called the boy, his voice cracking with panic. They could feel the shadows of the storm creeping closer, eager to swallow them whole. With every ounce of strength, they pulled, tugging at her arm gently yet insistently. The woman's face twisted in agony as she fought through the pain to follow their lead. I can't get out," she cried, desperation clawing at her voice. "Just a little more," Max shouted, rallying the other kids. "Don't let go. We're almost out." The wind howled louder, a violent reminder of the storm's power. Just then, another loud crash echoed in the distance, leaving Max's heart hammering against his ribs. What could that be? Perhaps more debris was falling, or worse, a worse danger was on them. Finally, with a loud grunt from all, the stranger pulled free. Her body flung out, rolling onto the muddy ground just as Max stumbled backward, nearly losing his balance. "Are you okay?" he asked, rubbing the mud from his eyes as he crouched near her. Panic twisted her features, but beneath it, there was a flicker of gratitude. "I thought," she gasped, breathless. "I thought I was trapped." "You're safe now," Max insisted, though his heart felt the weight of uncertainty crashing down. He looked over his shoulder, feeling the storm's breath on his neck. The wind picked up, howling louder as more debris flew through the air, hardly distinguishable from the sheets of rain. Max scanned the edges of their little band. The boy looked shaken, his wide eyes filled with uncertainty, but the little girl, with her dirt-streaked face brimming with hope, gripped his arm tightly. Their bond felt stronger, yet the danger was still looming. They had to move, and fast. "Follow me," he shouted, determination coming back to life in him. They had done this once, and they could do it again. The woman tried to rise, but pain flared in her legs. Max turned to her. "Can you walk?" "I don't know," she said, her voice shaky. "Just lean on me," he said, extending an arm. "Let us go." With heavy breathing and the swell of panic around them, they started moving, slowly at first. Max kept close to the woman as they made their way forward, heart racing as he felt the shifting air press against him like a physical force. But just as they reached the edge of fallen debris, a deafening crack split the air, the sound of something breaking apart, something large falling too close for comfort. The whole ground shook beneath them, and Max spun to see a massive tree limb plummeting toward their path. "Run!" He yelled, urging everyone forward, adrenaline coursing through him. They darted into the storm, the rain drenching them as they clambered over the last remnants of chaos. Max felt the pull of the storm behind him. Was it chasing them? He didn't dare look back. His only focus was the path ahead, where light flickered through the trees like a beacon promising safety. "Max! Look out!" the boy shouted, as something dark loomed in front of him. In that instant, as he stumbled and fell to his knees, the ground roared beneath him. The world around them seemed to freeze for a split second, and Max's heart skipped a beat. He felt all eyes on him, and the murmur of the storm fell into silence. What would break next, his courage or the storm's fury? Would this truly be the moment of truth? Just as the storm unleashed its wildest fury, Max found himself staring into the storm's heart, a swirling vortex of chaos and uncertainty. He stumbled back, but his resolve ignited. "This is not the end," he screamed, pushing himself back up. "We're getting out of here, together." His voice rang out like a rallying cry, echoing through the torrential downpour. The storm's roar faded, replaced by the determined flutter of hearts around him. The children gathered behind him, ignited by Max's spark of hope. They clung to each other, forming a makeshift line against the chaos. This wasn't just about Max anymore, it was about each person standing with him, embodying the strength of their community. He grasped the woman's hand firmly, pulling her forward, the weight of her pain tangling with their shared urgency. "Step by step. We can do this." The group moved onward, synchronized in their movement, each heartbeat resonating with the next. Max led the way with unyielding resolve, weaving through the debris, navigating this urban jungle brought on by nature's tantrum. Each footfall mattered, bringing them closer to safety just as the lightning lit up the darkened sky. Max stole a glance back at the chaotic mass of storm and fear, a creature that wanted to take what they had built, but he wouldn't let it. They were stronger than that. With one last push, they broke onto a narrow street. A glimmer of light flickered at the distance. "Keep going," he shouted, leading the charge into the unknown. He felt his legs pumping, driven by an overwhelming sense of purpose, driven by love, and just as they turned the corner, a siren echoed through the whirling tempest, a sign of hope, a lifeline cutting through the chaos. Emergency lights flashed, illuminating their path like stars breaking through the storm clouds. "Over here!" Max yelled, waving his arms to catch the attention of the rescue team, soon flooded with spectators. Tears of relief sprang to his eyes, the warmth of gathering together outweighing the cold rain soaking through to their bones. As the team rushed forward, he heard familiar voices, Mr. Thompson among them, muddy but resolute. "Get them warm. We've got to make sure everyone is okay." He organized their frantic efforts, the billionaire now pulsing with newfound purpose and empathy. Max's heart soared. This was it. Everything had aligned. While they had faced the fury of the storm, love and community had risen. The woman trembling at his side leaned into him just a little more, her expression softening as they reached the others. "I can't believe you all came to help," she whispered, her voice breaking like the storm. "Anyone would have done the same." Max insisted, his heart swelling. "We're stronger together." At that moment, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd as they all leaned in close, gathered together, warm blankets wrapping around soggy figures like protective embraces. The storm outside howled, but inside, an undeniable joy bloomed, a collective sigh of relief. Minutes passed, though the world still roared outside, unfazed by their victory in that small patch of safety. Mr. Thompson caught Max's eye, his expression now radiant, free from the weight of indifference. "Max," he said, kneeling down with the earnestness of a changed heart, "I'm so sorry for how I dismissed you. You showed me what real strength looks like today." A smile broke across Max's face, it reached his eyes. "We were all just doing what we could." In that mix of emotion, with the comforting presence of friends and neighbors, Max sensed the change. The future was brighter than the storm clouds could ever extinguish. They had weathered their very own chaos, together. As the storm abated, laughter sparked through the huddled groups. Max turned to the children beside him, their faces lighting up with excitement. we should celebrate," he exclaimed, bursting with hope. "Let us bake cookies for everyone." Cheers erupted once more, reminding him of the laughter that had preceded the storm. And as neighbors began to mingle about, gratitude and love washed over them like light after a downpour. And so they began creating something beautiful from brokenness, a meaning to the difficult hours they had endured together. With the aroma of baked goods filling the warm air, they laughed and shared stories, feeling the warmth of their community envelop them. Max smiled, heart full once again, sustaining love and friendship that would forever weave the fabric of Maplewood into something stronger than he had ever known. At that moment, he knew, no storm could ever break their spirit as long as they stood together. So, if you felt a spark of hope as you watched today, now is the time to make your voice heard. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support means everything. In the comments below, share your reactions and feelings about this ending. You need to let us know what this journey meant to you, and don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support our community through these actions.